John Morrison, will he ever be pushed? Now, it's a questionable topic. Some people would say he has been pushed, but I don't think he's been pushed enough. Now, of course, Johnny Nitro was the original name, and I was a big fan of him back then when he was paired up with Melina and indeed Eminem, the tag team with Joey Mercury, who of course also returned to TV and officially unmasked this week. But then as he went on and sort of stayed in the Nitro gimmick, they eventually decided it was time to freshen things up. And indeed on ECW, eventually the decision was made to put that belt on him, the ECW Championship. And of course he took on CM Punk way back at, I think it's Night of Champions now, but was it Vengeance? I think that's what it was. And indeed before that pay-per-view, I saw Morrison like we've never seen him since. I mean, he came out with that rock star gimmick fully intact, and of course the promo was really good. Certainly not like his promos these days. He was a heel back then, and of course he finished off his mic time with that phrase, "Dream, Love, Scream, Morrison."
Yeah, he's been through the mill, the poor guy, from the Tuesday Night Delight to the Friday Night Delight. Now he's the Monday Night Delight, but he'll never be a Sunday Night Delight, that's for sure. But Jim Morrison, I was going to call him John Morrison, just goes to show that obviously somewhere in the back of my brain, that rockstar gimmick is still very with him, and something that needs to be stepped up, and they need to go back to it, I think. I've always really wished they would have taken him down a kind of a, I don't know how, kind of a Spinal Tap, kind of Gene Simmons kind of a vibe with the over-the-top rockstar gimmick, I think, and just some funny promos that they could do with him. It's probably, I don't know if there's any Kiss fans in the house, but there's a very funny DVD documentary called Kiss Exposed, where they do this thing with Paul Stanley and Gene Simmons in a house where apparently they live, and there's just like models and drugs and all this kind of stuff all over the place, but really it's just sugar, I think, as opposed to cocaine. But fun stuff where they could really take the piss a little bit with Morrison and do that excess kind of gimmick, and I think it would really get them over if they had some vignettes, but they never went down that territory, maybe because they're PG and there's a lot of stuff that might be a bit risky for them, I suppose, or whatnot. But he's a guy, when he's heel, I think he's great, better on the mic, but the babyface promos just don't work. Some people call him a bit of a spot monkey. He is a little bit, but he's a good all-round worker, I think. And I think now in the next year, if it doesn't happen for him, he's going to end up in MVP territory. He's heading that way already, and it would be a shame to see, especially now that he's getting these muscle and fitness covers and stuff. Obviously the Office will be taking note of stuff like that, and they could do with pushing a guy like that. I mean, you have your R-Shoots and whatnot, and you're kind of rehashing Kane a little bit, where you have there's so many great talents that are just, like MVP and Morrison are two very, at the moment, underused, I think, talents that they have, and Morrison just needs his time to shine. He needs to be heel again, and I think it would work for him.
You've coined it there when you said the documentary and the idea of Morrison maybe in there with girls and excesses, alcohol, drugs. I mean, I couldn't maybe push drugs, but that's exactly what I expected to see. I expected to see a rock star gimmick. He isn't a rock star now. I mean, he pretends to be. He calls himself a rock star, and he wears a great jacket. But other than that, what is being backed up storyline-wise to tell us this guy is a rock star? I mean, only the pop and the audience reaction, I suppose, lends itself to that idea. But we're again wishing for something that isn't possible in PG land, and I think, you know, the idea of him in vignettes like this Alberto on SmackDown, I mean, God, that's a PG vignette, you know, nothing, boring. But Morrison backstage at a concert. Morrison maybe hanging out with some of those rock star guest hosts. I mean, if he had been pushed and was still Jay Morrison, the rock star, then he would have been there with Ozzy Osbourne, wouldn't he? I mean, I'm not sure if he was on Raw at that point, but bring him in for the rock star if he is a rock star. But like I say, I think he's never had proper build in terms of what he's about, and I think that's a huge problem for a lot of these gimmicks and characters. A lot of times they just tell us this guy is this and believe it, buy it, without any real backup. And I think John Morrison could have been great. He had such a lot to give as a heel. He really worked the heel character. He also you know, he could cut promos, but for some reason in this new babyface era for John Morrison, I just don't think he does the same in terms of being strong and sort of confident on the mic, and also making us believe him. But now we're in a situation where people are saying The Miz is Shawn Michaels and Morrison is Marty Jannetty. Now that to me is a massive turnaround. I certainly don't believe that The Miz is the Jannetty. I don't believe he's the Michaels either, but he's doing well. To be honest with you, I really thought Morrison was the Michaels.
Yeah, I think so. And I mean, they had good runs with the dirt sheet was great. And I think his biggest, and when he really kind of marked out from, was when he was ECW champ, and as petty as the whole ECW thing was, it was good for him, and it definitely showed that they see, you know, big potential in him putting that strap on him and whatnot. But again, they just let it slip through their fingers. Now, even if they put him back in the run for a US title or whatnot, that would be a start, and let him build up. Obviously, he's on the Raw brand, so the IC title is kind of out of the picture there. But either way, they need to put more focus on him, because he will no doubt end up in MVP territory, and it's not going to be a good thing. He's, you know, give it another year or two and he'll be in TNA, and that's just going to get messy. But I'm sure if he was over in TNA, they'd be doing huge things with him, you know. It just goes to show sometimes.
It's worrying for the guy, isn't it? You mentioned the MVP territory. There's a guy who is friends with Randy Orton. I mean, Orton revealed that on his Twitter this week, and it's surprising that somebody would be friends with a guy like that and perhaps, you know, not have a push. You'd expect that the kind of clique atmosphere that would go on backstage would lend itself to more of an MVP push. I mean, MVP is the more experienced guy, or Truth, in terms of being on WWE television, hasn't had as much time. Of course, K Quick a long time ago, but since then, what? I mean, TNA, and who was that guy he was with? Footballer, I don't know who he is. But yeah, you've got to worry for guys who slip into that problematic area where nobody really cares. The Office don't seem to really want to do much. I mean, you know, Ted DiBiase, that's a step in the right direction. Putting him in a program with him, those are two guys that can really do some great mid-card stuff. But I actually would like to see a full-on Miz versus Morrison feud. I mean, a program between those two guys, I think, would really be the decider in terms of who's Jannetty and who's Michaels.
Yeah, I think it would answer all the speculation and all the questions people have, and, you know, really show which guy is the Jannetty and which guy is the Michaels. But then they can't really do that, because it's just going to exactly do that. It's one of them has to be the Jannetty, and I don't think they want either of those guys to be the Jannetty. I don't think anybody wants to be the Jannetty, really. But yeah, I just exactly with MVP, it's the same thing. You would wonder about the politics and whatnot. Here's a guy who had a really good US title run and was kind of heading towards that main event picture. You got to wonder what guys like MVP and Morrison think of your Drews, and especially your Sheamus. Your Sheamus is coming in there and just straight bypass and hanging out with Trips and working out in the gym and whatnot. I mean, serious politics. But poor MVP and Morrison definitely feeling the other side of it.
Absolutely, John Morrison has got a big future. He is very, very creative in the ring. He can be pushed in a way that he can dazzle you in terms of how he's booked in the matches, and at the same time work well, do those wrestling holds and keep it old school at the same time. And I always sort of thought Rick Rude when I saw the guy. I never thought Ultimate Warrior. I thought a legit performer, a guy who could really impress. I suppose it's always a problem in terms of size. Now, interestingly, over time, Miz seems to have sort of bulked up. Miz now has more of a bigger look, and the latest news in the dirt sheets, by all accounts, they are saying that Vinnie Mac has got a lot of support for The Miz. He's looking for him to be the future of the WWE. So it's a surprise to me that after that dirt sheet combo, we're looking at Miz out on top. I think he deserves to be there, but I think Morrison equally deserves to have a good position.